So now I'll try my fifth attempt, because so far I've just been trying to switch it on and talk at the same time, which is clearly quite a feat for me. So anyway, so I wanted to talk to you about Christmas. So firstly, I want to say, coming up to Christmas, that I really want to wish you a really happy Christmas, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're sharing it with. Christmas is a really emotional time and a very important time for all of us. Even if you're not religious, even if you're not a Christian, especially this year, there are people that are celebrating it because it's a summer solstice. There are some people celebrating it because it's a winter solstice. Some people are celebrating it because they see it as a celebration of life, of getting together with the family, unless you're in New South Wales, or all sorts of different reasons, and they're all good. Celebrations are beautiful, but there's also a lot of self-destructive behaviour that comes from it, as you and I both know, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it is domestic violence, whether it is putting each other down or arguing with that person because you haven't built that connection or that communication for a year, and this is the only time that you make it or take it to see it. There's also a lot of families that come from broken homes. They might have lost partners, they might have lost parents, they might have lost children, they might be introverted and not have many friends, or just feel shy or awkward to connect with others, to reach out. There might be people who are down and they're like homeless. Might be animals who are lined up to die for your plate, and yet we're celebrating life. So therein lies the irony for me. There's many different levels that we can improve on. For a start, we could pick kinder choices outside of roast. If we genuinely want to be flippantly saying that we love animals while we're still putting animals on our plate, it's not love. It's a commodity for you. Let's face it. If you or I are walking past a homeless person on the street and we are assuming that they're all drug fucked or alcoholics and that's what got them there, then no, guys, look at how you're behaving over Christmas. Are you over consuming food, alcohol? Are you being gluttonous as a Christian? Are you being gluttonous? Isn't that one of the sins? If it's love and compassion for all, as a Buddhist, aren't you still participating in animals? As a pagan who respects all life and believes in Gaia, Mother Earth and Father Sky, why would you want to destroy the very ground that you're living on by over-consuming things that you don't really need? Okay, so now I've had my judgment, my assumptions and my perceptions, and I realise that they may very well not align with yours, and that's okay. I don't expect them to, just as you shouldn't expect me to align with yours. However, I do invite each and all of us this year to put conscious thought into everything that we do this Christmas. I come from a family that are somewhat distant because they come from a different country, and I do too. And so the family that I have existing here for most of the year, I never hear anything from them. I'm surprised that they know I exist. My family overseas, I don't hear anything from them either. So as somebody who is fully knowledgeable about the fact that a family is just a name, it's not necessarily something that one would choose. I love my family, but is the love reciprocated? It's questionable, yeah? It's just not in a love that I comprehend. It's not in a love that is enough for me to understand or to feel loved. And that's the truth of it, no matter how much they might want me to think differently. So this Christmas, I'm closing down out of my own choice for a few days, not to hurt anyone, but to protect myself from being hurt, from waiting for calls that won't eventuate, for waiting for acknowledgement in the way of cards, gifts, or any other sort of acknowledgement. I went over and I handed out gifts this week and no one was home, and I got acknowledged for one lot of gifts, and that was it. So that gives me an indication that my friendship set probably needs to change. That obviously governed with other things as well. So for myself personally, this has been a huge learning curve, and for me not to want to go off the deep end and self-destruct is really a tenuous process for me, yeah. So I can't help but wonder how many of others are out there. Now, during the last few weeks, I've spoken with some homeless people and I've asked them their stories, and the stories have been really sad, very fragile, very vulnerable stories where most of them you'll find don't fit into a family unit. Long before drugs, alcohol and homelessness came into it, they just felt like they're on the outside. Came from broken families, came from broken homes, came from mental, physical, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. A lot of them were forgotten by their family members Christmas after Christmas, birthday after birthday. They all kept their own separate unit without this person involved. That was my life, and it is still my life. And for any family members that want to challenge me on it, I invite you to make a difference by behaving differently before I speak out against this. It doesn't stop me loving people, but it does make me a pretty strong candidate and advocate for other people going through it. There isn't just me in the world, and there isn't just you in the world. We should all be on this planet to take care of each other, particularly on vulnerable times. There are also elderly people that are dealing with things on their own for whatever their reasons are. So this Christmas, I'm going to invite you to join me in one of several things that might help others. We've only got a couple of days left, hey? So one way we could do is to be part of a soup kitchen. So go in and be part of running a Christmas lunch, not to be seen, not to get a bright tick from God, not to do anything for anybody, but to share from the heart, authentically, with integrity, without expectation or presumption. So to share it with love, just simply with love, and to envelop others in that love and to be a part of that. Not to go home and have a Christmas meal, but to actually legitimately make your Christmas among the people as Jesus would have done. Another way to do it is to actually clean out those closets. Like, if you don't need them, the toys, the clothes, all those things, get rid of them. For the homeless on the street, instead of judging them and deciding who has the right to go and take drugs, take alcohol, or be self-destructive, maybe consider the fact that they have their reasons. And unless you're willing to actually sit down and have a conversation over coffee without worrying about who might see you there, then you're not being authentic enough to share from your heart and to get to know them on an equal measure. And they will see that. They'll know that. I know because I've been homeless. The other thing is that what you could do to help support others is that maybe you could go for a sleeping bag if you're in a particularly cold space. It doesn't cost much, even if you get it from an op shop or even brand new, cheap. It doesn't cost much, guys. Just get it. Get a jacket. Bring some candles maybe for somebody. Make somebody's day. For women's shelters and for brave hearts, things like that, out for kids, what you could do is, somebody else gave me this idea, God bless them, 2 women I know, that were making up these bags, and it doesn't have to be expensive, but they were putting things like in there, like toiletries. They might put in some oils, some conducive oils that help to calm somebody. They were putting in toothbrushes, toothpaste, combs, brushes, maybe a gift voucher, maybe a little bit of jewelry, things like that. Just something little. You could bring the soft toys off to a child's place, brave hearts. You could embrace people around your neighbourhood that you know are doing it tough, but you don't need to make mention of the fact that you have done that to anybody else, and you do not need to make a big deal of it to them so that they feel guilty. Another thing is you could anonymously drop off presents for the homeless. That's a pretty cool thing to do, and it doesn't have to be drugs and it doesn't have to be alcohol. The other things that you could do was that you could volunteer your time once a month to be like a big brother or big sister for a foster kid. How much time is it? You know, really, how much do you have to do? Another thing you could do is just little things, like you could leave little notes on mirrors just saying, my daughter used to do this actually. My little Angelina, she used to leave these beautiful feel-good messages on top of mirrors in bathrooms, public rooms, telling people that they're precious, they're loved, they're seen, they're perfect the way that they are. You could get a little gift for, you know, the cleaner, for your personal maid, babysitter, whatever. You could leave a 6-pack out for the Gavos. It's a 6-pack, guys. If you're well enough to be able to do that financially, then why not? What is stopping you? The main thing about everything is to remember that Christmas is not about me. It's not about you. It's not about how much money we have, it's about how much time we're willing to share. Most people that are on their deathbeds look back on things and they wish they'd made time for things. When they're saying they're making time for things, it's not really things they're making time for. It's time for people. And when you look back over your life, how many things do you remember about your past that are your best memories? Are your best memories when your father gave you $10 to go out and to blow on something? Or was it when your father took you out fishing, or your mother took you out to a festival or shopping or whatever? But it's the time that you spent with them. It's the time you have with your partner, the time that they make for you, the time that you share together. It's about actually wanting somebody present with them. I'm an introvert. I don't actually really feel comfortable around a lot of people for long periods of time. I struggle. I can go out and I could do something like get on a stage and be really comfortable, but I would need to come off and debrief and be within myself again. So if I can do it, so can you. Please, please, please make this a Christmas of sharing and caring. God bless, and I wish you all the best for your beautiful Christmas.